presidency of George Bush is what I'm going to be focusing on today. That's a presidency that was plagued by war, terror, natural disaster, and financial crisis. And so specifically I'm going to be focusing on the war and the terror and Bush's leadership through that. Which leads me to my thesis. Which button? The right button.
It's over from the phone.
Which leads me to my thesis that George Bush should be viewed as a better president than he is today. I believe that he will, and that he should and eventually will be viewed as a better leader than he is currently right now. This is especially keeping in mind his response to 9/11, the war in Afghanistan, and even the war in Iraq, which is obviously very controversial. So those are what I'm going to be focusing on mostly today. I'm going to try to keep my statements not politically charged. I'm going to try to analyze his leadership skills and focus mainly on the facts. And my goal is not to convert you to a Bush fan, it's just to have you see him in a better light than you did previously. Okay, so kind of small, but this is a presidential rankings. That's every single president, and this is from C-SPAN from 2009. As you can see, George Bush is in red there. He is very bottom there. That's bottom 6. Zoom in here. We got George Bush here. People that are above him, some that I highlighted are Nixon, Zachary Taylor, and Chester A. Arthur. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that no one here in this room can tell me something significantly good that Chester A. Arthur accomplished in the presidency. Anyone? I'll be really impressed. Chester A. Arthur. No. Okay. Chester A. Arthur is ranked above George Bush. So I think that's like the main kind of driving point here. Yeah, so he's number 36 out of 42. So going back to George Bush, I'm going to try to convince you that he should be higher on that list. And it's common for presidents to leave office ranked really low and for them to go up in rankings. So I think that's something that's going to happen with Bush. Okay, so we're going to talk about 9/11 in a quick timeline. Bush started out his day on 9/11 visiting with second graders in their classroom, which is when he heard about the attacks. I actually have a video clip of when he heard about the attacks for the first time in a classroom full of second graders.
Back in the Florida classroom, Press Secretary Ari Fleischer got the news on his page. The President's Chief of Staff, Andy Carr, stepped in.
What did you say? Second reign and second power. America is under attack. But when you said those words and stepped back and you looked in his face, what did you see? I saw him coming to recognition of what I had said. I think he understood that he was going to have to take command as commander-in-chief.
Okay. So as you see, like, Bush keeps his composure there, in which that kind of going on with that theme the whole day. Next at 9:31 a.m., 6 minutes before the plane hit the Pentagon, Bush gets on air and speaks to the country. There's still a heavy fog of war. No one really knows what's going on. But he addresses the nation from the classroom and he says that there's an apparent terrorist attack on the country. He's very visible this day. You'll see that theme. And so that's the first address that he makes. He rushed to Air Force One, where he's forced to make many key decisions. He makes a shoot-down authorization, which is the decision to shoot down any hijacked planes that they know are hijacked, which is obviously a very tough decision. Good leaders need to make tough decisions in tough times. Bush did that. Another decision that he made was to land the plane within 30 minutes so that he could adjust the nation again. He didn't like the fact of hiding away. He didn't like the fact that the American people didn't know where he was. he ordered the plane to be landed within 30 minutes because despite what everyone else, despite the Secret Service was telling him it's not safe, despite the heavy fog of war, he landed the plane at 11:45 in Louisiana, and by 12:30 he had already given his second speech to the nation. In that speech, he is quoted, "The resolve of our great nation is being tested, but make no mistake, we will show the world that we will pass this test." That speech aired at 1 p.m. on 9/11. After that, he was rushed back to Air Force One. He is flown to Nebraska. He stays there for a few hours. He doesn't like the idea of hiding away. So he gets back on Air Force One, goes back to D.C., where he gives his third address from the Oval Office. And a quote from that speech is, "These acts of mass murder were intended to frighten our nation into chaos and retreat, but they have failed. Our country is strong. A great people have been moved to defend a great nation." So, okay, that one. So visibility is a key thing at 9/11. Why I think he was a good leader at 9/11. He 3 times got in front of the nation to reassure them, to show them that the president was still there. He knew that visibility was the key to being a good leader, and that was wise of him. And that's FDR right here, and because this obviously reminded me of the attack on Pearl Harbor, and I kind of took a look at how FDR handled that, and I saw similarities in the way Bush and FDR handled it, and FDR is regarded as a great leader, so I thought that was a good argument for Bush as well. So the days following, he gives several more speeches, especially a speech at Ground Zero, where he reassures everyone that the people did not die in vain, that they will be brought to justice. He also met with the families of those who died in the towers 2 days after, and he was only supposed to meet with them for 45 minutes. He met with them for 2.5 hours. I think he realized that the compassion is something that our country needed from their leader, and he delivered that. He filled those shoes. So Afghanistan, I think we all know the deal. This war started in October 2001. It's still going on. But the one thing I want to clarify is that this is not the war in Iraq. Oftentimes it's confused with 2 wars that coupled together. The war on terror was strongly supported here and by our allies. The war in Afghanistan is strongly supported. The war in Iraq is where it gets controversial. And I think one reason why he was a good leader through this war was the clearly defined Bush doctrine. Although it's controversial, he clearly set a path and he stuck to that path, which I respect and think of. So that's Iraq. This is a picture of Iraq. So I think Iraq is Bush's mistake. Obviously, we know that we went into Iraq. We thought there were weapons of mass destruction. No weapons of mass destruction were found. So I'm not arguing whether or not that was a good decision, because obviously it was a bad decision. I just think that Bush was an effective leader through this because he made a tough decision in a time in a post 9/11 world when that decision needed to be made. Yes, no weapons of mass destruction were found, but oftentimes people have failed to recognize what a world with Saddam Hussein still in it would look like. So I don't agree with the decision, but I respect the leadership. And here's a quote from Bush, kind of defending himself on this. Almost a decade later, it's hard to describe how widespread an assumption it was that Saddam had weapons of mass destruction. Supporters of the war believed it, opponents of the war believed it, even members of Saddam's own regime believed it. We all knew that intelligence is never 100% certain. That's the nature of the business. But I believe that the intelligence on Iraq's weapons of mass destruction was solid. That's from his book, Decision Text. And so no one really takes into account, like I said, the consequences of what it would have been if Bush did not decide to invade, especially given Saddam's history of using weapons of mass destruction on his own people, previously back in 1980. Okay, so here's a chart. This is from Gallup.com, and it shows average approval ratings for presidents over the past 80 years. And it goes back to FDR. And as you can see, Bush is average. He's not on the bottom. He's not on the top. Bush is average for average approval ratings. So I think that furthers my point, because on the first chart I showed you guys, he's at the very bottom. And here's a graph. This is Bush's approval rating. And as you can see, after 9/11, and this is a spike, 90%, very extremely high. I think that shows like his great leadership through that. And we have, and you guys can see it's like decline through the war in Iraq, and it just keeps going. But so to conclude, Bush handled the events of 9/11 and the Afghan war extremely well, as backed up by his approval ratings. But many seem to only remember his decisions made in Iraq. If we did find weapons of mass destruction, George Bush would have gone down as one of the greatest presidents in history. But since we didn't, he goes down as one of the worst. Thank you. Any questions? Yes.
You make a very good case, by the way. Did you, just your gut reaction? Why, I mean, obviously, you get the peak, you got the valley, the war is still on. People like Kennedy, who also had issues, and Lyndon Johnson with Vietnam and all that, all ranked higher. You know, in fact, Kennedy much higher. Is it the press? I mean, that's oftentimes the not.
I think you're asking why, what's with the huge drop, like what do you think caused it?
Yeah, I mean,
I do think the press is a large issue, and but I said it was a bad decision by Bush. Iraq was a mistake, but the press just ate it up. I remember what was Mission Accomplished. The press, like, they loved it. They loved to chew him up, and I do think I'm not going to sit here and blame it on the press, but the press likes to chew presidents up like that, and I think that's a result because. As we saw in 9/11, like, he is a good leader. Like, people liked him. They really liked him. And if he, like, imagine if, my last point there, he had 90% approval ratings, and they were probably around 80 around the war in Iraq. Imagine, I can only imagine what if there really were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. I can only imagine what would have happened to the approval ratings. It was like, but they didn't. It really, I think his first term in office came down to the F1 decision. And unfortunately, we made it wrong.
Thank you very much.
Yep.